The next face of intention is called the face of abundance. And the face of abundance, remember, I go back. This creative source reacts to your belief in shortages with a fulfillment of your belief. So if you believe and know and are certain that you can't attract abundance into your life, but I want to tell you tonight, you tuned in to somebody who knows about abundance. I have always been able to create abundance in my life. When I was a little kid, all the other kids in the places that I lived and so on, and even when we got back at home with my mom, pop bottles. You remember soda pop bottles? You could collect them, little knee-high bottles, and Pepsi-Cola bottles, and Coca-Cola bottles, and 2 cents if you took them back. I was a master at collecting pop bottles. I could manifest a pop bottle just like that. It was just... We used to have furnaces that had coal in them. And I would go along and I would empty people's ashes that they would set out. So just take it out to the alleys. I would go to the grocery store, and because my imagination was always working on abundance, I would carry groceries out for little old ladies. You know what I'm doing today? Right now? Collecting pop bottles. And taking out ashes. And taking out groceries for little old ladies. Just a bigger stage. See, if I came to this source and said, I don't have enough, this source doesn't know how to react to I don't have enough. This source is an endless supply. It's like the ocean. You can take a 10 million gallon tank to the ocean of abundance, and you can take it out every hour, or you can take a thimble once a year. And the ocean doesn't care. It makes no difference to the ocean, because everything returns to this source. Every time I walk, wherever I go, in fact, it happened to me this morning. I found a dime. A dime? That's like major. A dime. That's 10 pennies. That's 5 bottles. And whenever I bend over, and I notice that it gets a little further away, I bend over and I pick up this coin, and I always say, thank you, God, for this symbol of abundance that always flows into my life. Never once have I ever said, how come only a dime? I need $1,000. Why are you only giving me a dime? It reminds me of a wonderful story of a grandmother who was living in that consciousness, and she was walking along the beach, and she had her little grandson with her, and all of a sudden this huge wave came right out of the ocean, gobbled up, took the son, and he was gone, just disappeared. She got down on her knees, she prayed, oh my God, please send my grandson back. How could this be? This is the worst moment of my life. Please send my grandson back. I never... And all of a sudden another wave came along, and plop! There was her grandson, right there next to her feet. And she looked up and she said, he was wearing a hat. The face of abundance is like you have to come to this source not with what is missing, because it doesn't know. There's nothing missing. This source, which is the source of all, doesn't know about what's missing. When you say, please give me what is missing, it'll just reaffirm your belief in things being missing. You have to come to this source by being abundant, by being in a state of gratitude, by being thankful for all that you are, and seeing yourself as attracting more and more of that, and being willing to give it away. The final face of these phases, the 7th face of intention, is what I call the face of receptivity. It is my intention to attract ideal people and ideal relationships into my life. This universal source is what I call an equal opportunity provider. It knows nothing. It knows nothing about not being receptive. It doesn't show up in you and not in you. It isn't anything that would judge one as better than the other. Are you receptive? Are you receptive to everyone? And you know, this works so well. My secretary and I, Maya, who's sitting up here in the box, who's been with me for 25 years. I can't shake her. As much magic as I try, she just keeps showing up. I couldn't do it without her. And we were leaving for a talk in Chicago, I believe it was, from Florida. And we had 7 boxes of books to take with us on the plane. This was in the days when you could take what you wanted on a plane. And we were scheduled out on one airline that I was a platinum something or other on, and we found out that the flight was canceled. And they had already checked the boxes in, and then well, they sent us to another airline at the other end of the terminal. So we wheel up there, we go up there with the 7 boxes, and she's up there, and this woman's got a scowl on her face at this new airline, and almost as if she was saying, you won't be getting these boxes on this plane. And she was determined that that was not receptive to this idea whatsoever. Now, my way I handle these kinds of things in my life is by every time, if I meet a surly waitress or a surly waiter, or if I meet someone who, when I'm checking into a hotel, is giving me a hard time, to me this is just a wonderful opportunity to practice the power of intention. Can I be receptive to this person and have them eating out of my hand in no time at all? And it isn't by being phony or artificial, it's by trusting that if I'm receptive to this person, if I'm sending love to this person, if I'm sending kindness, if I am being what my source is, if I am in harmony, in rapport with source energy, then I can create an ally. So my secretary was about to, and I just said, Maya, don't say a word. And I went up to the woman and I just started talking to her, and because I knew, I could just tell by her body language that she was about to tell me, you're only going to be able to take 2 boxes with you for each person, and you're going to have to leave 3 here. But that just wasn't on my agenda whatsoever. And I reached into my briefcase and I took out a book and I signed it. I said, I'd really like you to have this. I appreciate you putting us on your flight. And I started talking to her in this really kind of way, and I said, it's just, we just missed this other flight. I've got to give a talk up here in Chicago. And I extended as much kindness as I possibly could. I was totally receptive and open to her. And by the time this encounter ended, she was asking, don't you have any more boxes? Isn't there something else that you'd like to ship? Do you want to ship one of your kids? We can. And upgraded us to first class, gave us everything that we could possibly have wanted, and it was all because of being receptive to her, having this space of receptivity. When you have receptivity, when you are practicing infinite patience, when you are being the kind of person you wish to attract, you have to want it more for others than you do for yourself. You have to see yourself already as connected to the right person. See yourself from the end. And see yourself as having all of the right people showing up. Act as if they're already here. Because that's what the source is. And they are already here. I'm telling you, when I'm writing and I'm in the space that I'm defining here right now and speaking about right here, when I'm in this space, I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that everybody shows up that I need. And it almost gets to a point where I get befuddled by it, how beautiful and blissfully it works. I'm even befuddled by you all showing up. We just put a little notice out there and said, come to Boston. Please come to Boston. Isn't that a song? And you all did. Thousands of you. Look at you, all over the place. This beautiful place and these lobbies and going all the way up into, there's people up there, you're 1,000 miles away. You're all here. And when I'm writing, my eyes will glance on a book that's been on the bookshelf for 20 years, and I haven't looked at, and I'll walk past it and it'll fall. What is that? And I'll pick it up, and it's exactly what I needed. The phone will ring, and the exact right person will show up. When you're in this place of being receptive, kind, loving, beauty, abundance, when you're in this place, the universe conspires with you to create the right people, the right things. It all shows up. It's not your ego. I don't do it. It's called surrender. It's called, in the recovery movement, we call this letting go and letting God. Just letting go. You have a senior partner, if you knew, who walked beside you at all times on this path that you've chosen, you could never have another doubt that this would work. And I'm telling you, you tuned in today on this PBS show to listen to somebody who has believed. Not only do I believe in this and write about it, speak about it, I live it every day of my life. It always works.